What if the battle you're fighting didn't need to be won? What if it could be outgrown? I know this sounds wild because we've been taught that power means dominance, winning the argument, getting the last word, having the last say, winning the competition. But here's what nobody else tells you: the most powerful thing that you can do is become someone that the battle can't even reach. I'm Erin Patten, also known as Master L, and I'm inviting you into today's episode of the Meta Business Millennial, where we get into a power strategy that is unvaluable. Like it's really a proven power strategy that'll make you unfuckwittable. Like this is literally like my theme for 2026, and it really is an opportunity to not only stand in your power, but not have to fight petty battles with anyone because, like I said before, the battle can't even reach you. You've outgrown it. Okay. And I actually call this what I call the future facing power strategy framework. Because I know it's like a really fancy title for it, but it's something that I've developed through my own experience of navigating, like I've talked in previous episodes about my custody battles and navigating other legal issues and navigating being scammed or relationships with people. So, this power strategy is certainly something that's been tried and true. And it's certainly an opportunity to learn something new that really hasn't been talked about much, explored much in this day and time. So, let's get into it. Because whether you're dealing with a toxic relationship in your workplace, in a romantic partnership, a controlling family member, a difficult co parent, or a situation where someone else seems to be holding all the power and holding all the cards, and you feel like you're constantly chasing a carrot that you can never get, then this is an opportunity to really reclaim that power, take back your power, and walk confidently in it. Okay. So, the old paradigm of power structures, most of us learn how to deal with difficult people and difficult situations in a few ways. We generally respond, like getting the last word. We correct, wanting to make sure we're defending ourselves, proving or escalating the issue. And, someone comes at you, you come back harder. That's the example, right? Or they say something, you attack them and you defend yourself. And these are opportunities, and I love to give personal stories around this where we feel like we have to operate in this manner. We've really been brought up in this manner. It's really a childlike approach to solving problems. And it's actually what we see in the broader landscape of the world. For example, if we get attacked, someone attacks the US, what's the first thing we're going to do? We're going to send our army and bomb the shit out of them. We're going to defend ourselves. And this may sound like the proper thing to do, the proper strategy. Yet in our day to day lives, and especially moving into new earth leadership, we just can't solve problems in this way. It's just not the right way. This is where I mean by the outgrowing and the outpacing. And it also keeps you, why I say this isn't the right way, because it keeps us trapped in the victim cycle. So I'm going to share with you guys um, the dreaded drama triangle, which I talk about a lot uh, in my client sessions, but I haven't really brought it into the podcast. And here's the drama triangle where you have the rescuer, the victim, and the persecutor. And when you are operating in this drama triangle, for example, you're the victim, you get bombed, for example, using the US as the example. And then our response is then to be the persecutor. So then we're then, bombing them, and now we're all just in this drama fight. Or we're hopping in to save and rescue. This is the Superman type syndrome where we're going in and rescuing folks. And when you're trapped in this cycle of drama, there's really no escape and there's really no evolution ultimately. And when we want to move into this higher consciousness, this operating from our highest energy and doing things that are aligned with the highest good, like staying in this victim cycle will help make us continue to operate in those karmic cycles, those karmic patterns as well. And oftentimes we're always asking ourselves, like, how am I always stuck in attracting these same relationships? How am I always attracting these same, poor quality jobs? How am I always attracting these fights and these horrible situations with family members? Well, this is us continuing to operate in this victim mind, if you will. And whether we're the victim ourselves or we're trying to save someone, we're always trying to jump in and save our family members, giving them money, giving them a place to stay, bailing them out, doing whatever it is, that's being the rescuer, or being the persecutor, where we're being the mean ones and telling people off or calling them, cursing them out or punishing people. So when we're the punisher or the rescuer or the victim, it's all the same energy. And so this is what we need to understand when we operate in this old paradigm of power, that we don't really exit the situation. We may just play different roles in the same drama triangle. It's still all drama. And, it really also aligns with the hyper masculine energy that I'm always speaking to as well, moving from this masculine hustle to the feminine flow. Because this I mean, I don't want to. I'm laughing because I don't want to say that all men are like this, but it really is. It's uh, indicative of a lot of the hyper masculine, if you want to say. Some people call it toxic masculine, but you could even call it wounded masculine energy that we see in the world today. If you don't get your way, you're going to kill someone, or if you don't get your way, then you're going to punish them, or you're going to stab them in the back. And this is very much a business way of operating. And I talk about this a lot in terms of like the business construct, and how when you're just doing business for business sake, it's not personal. And that just isn't realistic. We're people, we're human beings. So when we treat each other harmfully or painfully, like, we feel that. And it's exhausting, period. Not only is it exhausting, I mean, it's, you're really, when you're stabbing someone in the back, what are you doing? You're killing them. You're killing yourself. It's really moving towards a fast death. And we've seen it so often with our business leaders. I mean, look at Steve Jobs, and, look at others who have just really worked themselves to death. And there has to be another way, frankly. And this is what we're here to talk about. And so we're shifting from essentially this old paradigm of power structures, this old paradigm of getting what you want in this world, to a new paradigm where power, what I call future facing power strategy, where we're really operating in this power strategy that's looking towards the future. So we can't really stay so hyper or myopically focused or narrowly focused on the present or the past, especially because it's certainly not going to serve us moving into the future, and not in a powerful way. And so I want to just read this goal because it's just so powerful in terms of what this future facing power strategy enables. But it allows us to build a life, a posture, and a pattern of movement that makes re-entanglement, essentially like operating in that drama triangle, impossible. You get detangled from that. You exit that drama triangle, and leverage then the blackmailing, the backstabbing becomes not only unnecessary but unreachable. It can't even touch you. So this isn't necessarily about building walls that keeps people out. It's really about creating filters. And we want to be able to be so mobile, so flexible, so expansive, that the attacks that people are sending to our way, or, the accusations, the toxicity, the whatever it is, it really becomes irrelevant. And you really want to be so invested in your own trajectory, so invested in the work that you're doing, that that you can't even see what's happening in those areas of your life. So it really allows us to move essentially from the drama triangle to what I call the creator mode. And I'm going to show you guys this also in a diagram because it's really such a beautiful opportunity to explore the difference. So you move from rescuer, persecutor, essentially the punisher, the victim, then to a creator, the passion based, outcome focused way of being and operating. And so you then are moving from victim to creator. So you're able to really, and I love to say this, create your own reality because you do, whether it's a good or bad one, whether it's a conscious or unconscious one. Then instead of being the punisher, you become the challenger. And in many ways, your challenging doesn't have to be a direct challenge. It certainly can just be in your being yourself is a challenge to people. People seeing you and your truth can be challenging to people. And then moving essentially from the rescuer, where you kind of swoop in and you take care of things for people and you do everything for people and you're always there for people, to then being a coach. You let them play their game. You let them take their fouls and their hits. And then you stand on the sideline and give them pointers when relevant, when time. You're not in the game with them. And so that is essentially the power dynamic that we want to operate in now and going forward, which is why I call it the future facing power strategy. And, the key insight here is that, the power doesn't need to dominate. The power over technique that we're used to experiencing, whether it be in politics, in nation states and governments, whether it be in religion or spiritual, gurus, where we always see these gurus. And I was talking about this recently with a potential client, actually, how I went through an organization, a spiritual organization, where there was only one supreme leader, like, and he was the sun and we revolved around him. So this is not just a political thing. These power over dynamics exist in all structures, even the spiritual ones, even the ones that promise enlightenment and promise saving. It really is an opportunity for us to start being hyper aware of the power dynamics that not only we operate in, that we exist in. Whether it's, direct existence, direct interaction, whether it's at work or, like I said, your family relationships, your romantic relationships, or more passively, like in church or in religious or spiritual organizations. These power over dynamics can exist, and we want to move out of this dominant way of existing into a way that we really are outgrowing the battle. We're outgrowing the dominance. We don't need that to survive. And I really want to get into 3 core principles around this power over strategy, or this future facing power strategy that really helps us to eliminate and move away from the power over dynamic. And so the principle number 1 is that power lives in trajectory, in movement. Power lives in trajectory and not confrontation. So, like I said, in the old paradigm, we respond, we confront, we correct, we defend, we prove, we escalate, whether it's Karen or Keisha, we escalate. And that's the old paradigm. It's exhausting, it's embarrassing, and it doesn't serve our highest good. So in the future facing paradigm, we really are moving with decisions, with positioning, with movement, with withholding, and then letting the outcomes follow as they may. So the trajectory and direction of your life is moving forward. That's why it's a future facing strategy. And so not every battle you're having to stop and fight because you're constantly evolving. If someone scams you or takes advantage of you, you do what you can to take care of it, but you're constantly evolving and moving forward. You can't be fighting a scammer all day. You can't be fighting petty thieves all day. That's energy wasted. So the more you're focusing on yourself, the more you're focusing on creating higher opportunities for yourself, you won't get stuck in the minutia, the petty aspects of your life, the petty gossip, the petty fights, and essentially, whether or even the petty proving yourself, proving that you're right, proving that in meetings that I did this, I made this statement, because you're already on to the next innovative thing. And in relationships too, you get over, I mean, you tell someone once, this is what I expect in relationships. You tell someone twice, you remind them, kindly, like, this is what I really want. But we're not going to be broken records in relationships either. You're not going to keep demanding how to be treated. If someone doesn't have the ability or capacity to treat you in the way you want to be treated, then you need to move on. Not that this person isn't a good person, not that they're malicious, it's just not aligned. So you really want to be able to become someone who doesn't tolerate less than, who doesn't tolerate what you don't deserve, essentially. Principle number 2 is never organize your life around the resistance. So, what this means in terms of organizing your life around the resistance is, like, the rule here is nothing in my future is structured in reaction to a person, to a system, to a relationship, to the past. And what this can look like, for example, if you're in a co-parenting relationship and you're trying to organize your life around what this person may or may not do, that can't work. You cannot organize your life around that which is resisting you in the first place. So you have to really build from authorship, from writing your own code, from writing your own life, from being the director and the main character in your life and the writer of your own life. You build from that. And not from recovering from what other people are doing to you, essentially. And the recovery energy is essentially, I need to heal from this. I need to heal from what happened in my life. Whereas the authorship energy, where you're the main character and the director and the writer, essentially is, I'm creating essentially what comes next. Always forward facing, future facing. I don't need to always be healing from what happened to me. I need to be working on the next thing. Very different energy. And then ask yourself, am I making this decision because I'm building something? Or am I making this decision because I'm reacting to something? That's a key differentiator. Am I making these decisions because I'm building something new? I'm building from a new place? Or am I doing this because I'm reacting to how someone treated me? Or what someone did to me? Or how someone made me feel? Those are very different energies. So when you're making career moves, you shouldn't be moving because you had a bad boss, or you were in a toxic workplace, because again, then you're going to be trapped in that cycle. You're going to be trapped in that cycle. And you really want to be moving in a way where you are moving towards your vision. If you're making that career switch, you're moving towards your vision, not moving away from toxicity. You're moving towards a vision. And I hear this so much from people who are coming out of toxic situations and toxic relationships, and they're hopping from one thing to the next. Really take your time to figure out where you're trying to go first before you hop and jump ship. Because these boundaries, these standards should really be for your whole life and not just because of a certain situation that you're trying to escape. And principle number 3 is power is asymmetrical now. So that's good, a good thing. And what I want to help you understand, is that static power really relies on repetition, on control, narrative maintenance, and surveillance energy. So when you're in a static power dynamic, this is classic narcissism relationships where there's a narrative being controlled. There's manipulation energy here as well. You're always always the wrong one. So this is when there's the static energy, the static power dynamic. But when there's asymmetric power, then you really can't be wrapped up in the narrative. That's their story, not yours. That's why it's asymmetric. It's no longer yours. And the dynamic power, essentially, the asymmetry of the dynamic power really creates that movement forward, which is what we're talking about here. The growth, the new structures, the new boundaries, and of course, the future orientation. And so eventually the static power, the control, the dominance, the power over, it collapses on its own. And we've seen it happening. We're watching it happen. We're watching it happen in our country. We're watching the old power structures, the old power dynamics collapse in front of our eyes. While we who are dynamic, innovative, creator beings, divine beings, are leveling up every day. We're continuing to glow up. And so we can't try to match that. We don't want to try to match that energy. Whenever people are like, oh, coming at you with, oh, I can match that. No, we outgrew that. We outgrow that energy. That's how we move. And so we really want to think about that like difficult person in our life. Think about that difficult person in your life. And how much energy do they maintain or expend in maintaining that position? To be difficult, to be hard-headed, to be stubborn, that takes a lot of energy. To be angsty, to be bitchy, to be an asshole, that takes a lot of energy. And eventually it collapses. It's not sustainable. So that energy you can't invest in, but the energy you can invest in is your own growth and evolution. Okay? So then, like, let's get into this last part. I'm really loving this one here. In terms of the structure of how we can go about maintaining this power, this new power dynamic, first is information discipline. Okay, this is really critical, you guys. So share nothing that can be used to interpret, distort, or provoke. Okay? So essentially, silence is not avoidance. Silence in this case is strategy. So you really want to explain less, say less. When people, information discipline, I could tend to be an oversharer, but only generally in safe spaces. If there's a space where particularly there's someone who is trying to attack me, or I feel like there's a battle essentially here in this energy, this information is very strategic. It's very factual. It's very documentable. Okay. And it's also not very personal. Okay. So yes, that brings us to the second piece around communication, procedural communication only. So with difficult people, keep interactions brief. Again, keep them factual. At work, for example, per our conversation on this date type energy. Yes, that's really good. So in your family, very clearly, yes, this works for me. No, this doesn't work for me. And we want to be able to have that information discipline, that communication, those communication boundaries to really protect ourselves. And the third piece is around building power in areas they can't touch. So if you're dealing with difficult relationships or difficult work situations, like build your power outside of those structures. So start investing in areas of your life that bring you joy. Like for me, like it's the creative, exploration. It's the singing. It's the dancing. It's the podcasting, the content creation. So this is an area that no one else can touch because it is mine. It is my voice. It is my being. It is my creativity. It really reflects me. And, your economic independence. Like, you don't need to share your financial goals or your financial earnings with other people, essentially. Your community is really, really personal to you as well. So, this is a really beautiful way to begin to also build power that's outside of structures that other people can't touch. Your spiritual practice, your romantic lives. These are areas where you can really start to build power that can be untouchable to other people. Essentially, you want your power to be diversified because you don't want a single destabilization to take you down. You don't want someone to come at you in one area of your life and take you down in that area. So, really start to build up power in all these different areas of your life. And really, number four is take the long game posture. Like, we really don't want to be moving thinking that we're going to solve everything today or tomorrow. Okay. We really want to know that we're arcing towards something greater in the future. So when we're consistently doing the work, cultivating ourselves, pouring into ourselves, we know that stability outlasts control. We know that the work that we're doing is going to outgrow and outpace narcissism, manipulation, scamming, dominance, power over techniques. So we don't want to orient ourselves around frequency, around access, around permissions. Instead, we want to orient ourselves around letting time work for you. Okay, you want to take this hit here, you want to come at me here. Okay, let's just continue to see how this goes. Patience is a virtue for a reason. And last, we want to make sure that we are making decisions from our own self, what I call identity led decision making. So essentially, we want to run every decision through a filter. And that filter is, does this reinforce my authority or does it dilute it? Does it take from it? And this brings us back to that last question. Am I reacting to someone or am I moving towards my vision? So this is the identity-led decision making, is really anchoring into what is actually going to serve me. And so I really want to reinforce that this is the way that you can't be baited, you can't be manipulated, you can't be controlled when you operate from this power dynamic. And so I just want to, really anchor us to this way of being where we're not necessarily responding to life. We're creating our reality. We're operating in that creator mode. And we're really not only arcing towards the life of our dream, but we're not going to allow anyone to steal our joy in the process. Because there are certainly going to be people, situations, relationships that are going to test us and test our ability to show up in our power. And we want to always be knowing for ourselves that we won't ever lose our power. We don't ever lose our joy. Okay? So that difficult person, that difficult situation in your life, that difficult experience or family member becomes irrelevant over time. Remember, over time, give yourself grace, give yourself space to grow, to learn, to love yourself, especially in the process. Because, you're going to outgrow the game. That's it. Okay. So I want to leave you guys with this kind of declaration. I am building a life that does not require permission, defense, or explanation. Anyone who cannot meet me there loses relevance by default. And that is my orientation, period. Okay. So I thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of Meta's Millennial Podcast. I would love for you to follow me across social media at I am Erin Patten. I also have my website, erinpatten.com, and I have my hair products, Raw Beauty. If you made it this far, certainly check out Raw Beauty, rawbeauty.co, and our hibiscus petal hair growth oil. This is what this is here, the hero product. And I'm just spreading love through products, through good intentions, through inspirational content. And I just love that you all support me so much. So if this episode resonates with you, drop me a comment, drop me love in the comments, and let me know how this resonates with you, okay? Much love and light. Peace. Did you really love this episode of the Meta Business Millennial Podcast? Well, I am honored, and I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends, because your feedback allows us to co-create more enlightened conversations. And if you're interested in growing your soul now, head over to my website, erinpatten.com, to find all the show notes, links, and free resources to get your energy activated today. In the meantime, stay bright, my friends. Much love and light. Peace.